There has been a lot going on in the news lately, especially down in the US, but also here in Canada. There is a lot of talk about racism, and we've been having to have more and more conversations with our own kids about racism. Hey everyone, I'm Flo, and we're all about simple food, simple faith. Over the years, we've had many conversations with the kids about bullying. And of course, it always comes up, were you ever bullied as a kid, mama or baba? And when I was a kid, I was bullied. I was bullied all throughout elementary school, and it was because of the color of my skin. I was the only Chinese kid in school from kindergarten through till about grade 4 when 2 other Chinese kids transferred into the school. And we weren't like kids from China. We're all born in Canada, and yet somehow we just didn't fit in. And it didn't help that my parents owned a corner store, because that is so stereotypical for a Chinese family to have either a corner store or a restaurant or a laundromat. And I guess those are the skills that they came with, and they were able to open their own business, and they worked hard at working at their business to provide for their family. It's now 2020, and we are still being told to go back to where we came from. I was born here, so I really don't understand what that means. I have never been to China, and I just think it's ridiculous that people would assume that we're just from somewhere else just based on the color of my skin. My great-grandfather immigrated here in 1922, I think it was. It was a long time ago, so our family has been here for a really long time. We still get a lot of racist comments, and I think it just stems from ignorance. I mean, we're all from somewhere else. We did not all originate here in Canada. I was once approached by a white man at Costco asking me how to say good morning from my country. So my response was, good morning. And he's like, no, from where you're from. And I'm like, but I'm from here. We say good morning in English.
Where are you from? Your English is perfect.
San Diego. We speak English there.
Oh, no. Where are you from?
We can ignore racism and hope that the kids don't have to grow up with it, but unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So we choose to have those discussions with the kids, especially with all that's happening south of the border and even here in Canada, that, well, not just Canada, here in Vancouver, in a city that is filled with a lot of Asians, we are actually hearing it more and more that we should all go back to where we came from. So you would think that in a city that's multicultural like ours, we wouldn't have to deal with so much of that, but we do, unfortunately. And it isn't just from white against Asians or white against black. It's racism runs in all races, I think. I think that just like in, there are bad people everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're Chinese or black or white. There are really good people, and then there are some not so good people in every culture. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. I mean, in the Chinese language, aside from the Chinese, everyone else is a devil. We have white devils, black devils, Indian devils. Like, it's just a word that they associate with those that are not Chinese, and that's just so wrong. So we are teaching our kids to be kind. When they were going to school, every single day, one of the things I would say to them every morning was, be kind to others. And I really hope that that's something that sticks with them throughout their lives. Another thing that we try to teach our kids is to show empathy. So often, I think we could lay judgment on someone based on stereotypes or their behavior at that moment without knowing their whole story. And I think by showing empathy, we can teach the kids to show that they care about someone regardless of the stereotype, and like take a moment to actually get to know the person without being influenced by the way they look. We also try to teach the kids to stand up for themselves, and not only for themselves, but for others. It's been especially hard, I think, for our kids because they are generally passive and they're not that type of person. But I want them to grow up with confidence in who they are, and know when they're being treated poorly, and to not take that as acceptable, especially in the world that we live in today, with everyone recording on the sidelines with their phones and not wanting to get involved. We hope that our kids would stand up for those that they feel are being treated unfairly and unjustly. Even though racism is a tough conversation to have with our kids, I think my Black friends have it even tougher parenting their kids and having to have that conversation with them, especially when they have to have the talk with them from I think the age of 10 to 12, where they have to teach the kids on how to interact with police, making sure that their hands are visible at all times in case they are mistaken for reaching for a weapon. I mean, that is just so incredibly heartbreaking that they have to teach their kids this. And, you know, we don't have to have that conversation with our kids. We teach our kids to run to the police if they need help. But our Black friends, I'm not sure if that's what they're teaching their kids. They have to teach their kids to be careful with the police. God made each one of us individually, even down to the color of our skin. If He made all of us the same, how boring would our world be? In Psalm 139, verses 13 to 14, it says, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made." We are all fearfully and wonderfully made, no matter what race we are. We will never see the justice that we crave on this side of heaven. But when we are in heaven, there will just be one people where race will not even matter. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could just live in a world where we could love one another? In 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4, it says, "Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude." Can you imagine if we just did the first two, which is to be patient and to be kind? Wouldn't it be amazing if we could just do those two things? What a difference we would make in this world.